My name is Selena Ward. I used to believe I was immune to temptation. Faithful. Unshakable. Solid as the stones that line the shore of Greyhaven Lake. That was before the summer when the water carried whispers I could no longer ignore. I was 32 when this began. My husband David had accepted a 2-year engineering contract in Dubai. Too good an offer to turn down, he said. We'll finally pay off the house, Sel, he promised, kissing my forehead as if that made the absence lighter. We both knew the truth. Money was only part of it. He craved adventure and I craved presence. Greyhaven is a small place. The mornings smell of pine and damp earth. The nights hum with crickets. From our kitchen window I can see the silver line of the lake curling like a secret. It is peaceful and suffocating. After David left, the silence settled over the house like dust. Even our dog Jasper padded from room to room as if waiting for a familiar step that never came. Days blurred into each other. I taught art classes at the community center, tended my garden, smiled when neighbors asked how I was holding up. But at night, when the ceiling glowed pale with moonlight, I lay awake listening to the lake and wondered whether my marriage had simply become an echo chamber of old promises. That is when Elias Grant arrived. He was the new director of the community outreach program, a tall man with an unhurried voice, a way of noticing people without crowding them. The first time I met him, he stood in the hallway surrounded by boxes of donated books, sleeves rolled up, hair damp from the drizzle. You must be Selena, he said, and his tone was so sure, so quietly warm, I felt my pulse skip. At first, it was nothing more than conversation. After my Tuesday class, he would linger, asking about my students' paintings, listening to stories of David's adventures abroad. He never rushed me, never pushed. Greyhaven has a way of magnifying loneliness, he once said, handing me a cup of coffee. Silence becomes its own tide. I laughed, grateful someone finally put words to the ache I carried. Weeks passed. Elias and I began walking Jasper together along the shoreline. The lake at dusk is a mirror, blue melting into gold, waterbirds stitching lazy circles. We talked about childhood summers, unfulfilled dreams, books we loved. Each step beside him felt like a small exhale I had not realized I was holding. One evening, after a late community meeting, a storm rolled over Greyhaven. Wind thrashed the pines, rain rattled the center's roof. I was about to run for my car when Elias caught my arm. Stay until it eases, he said. No sense braving lightning for pride. We sat in the library, surrounded by the scent of paper and wet earth, rain drumming the windows like a heartbeat. He asked about my art. I confessed I had not painted for months. Colors felt heavy, inspiration flat. Maybe you stopped painting because you stopped being seen, he murmured. His words settled between us like warm light. My chest tightened. I wanted to speak, but language faltered. The thunder rolled closer. I turned toward the window, and in the reflection our faces hovered side by side, the storm tracing silver trails down the glass. When I looked back, he was watching me, not as a colleague, not as a neighbor, but as a man who recognized the quiet hunger behind my smile. My breath trembled. Then, without a plan, he reached out, brushed a strand of hair from my cheek. I should have stepped away. Instead, I let the moment linger. Our hands found each other, palms trembling. The kiss that followed was not wild or reckless. It was soft, almost questioning. Yet it lit a fuse beneath the silence of my life. I drove home after the storm, Jasper whining softly in the back seat. I stared at my reflection in the dark windshield and whispered, "What have I done?" The lake was black and still, holding my secret beneath its surface. For weeks we pretended the kiss was a passing spark. Yet we gravitated toward each other like tides to the moon. Shared coffees stretched into hours. His laughter slid under my skin. Some nights, as the crickets droned, I traced the rim of my wedding ring and wondered which version of me the mirror would judge. One crisp September morning, a sealed envelope arrived at the center addressed to Elias. I happened to see him reading it, shoulders stiff. When he caught me watching, he forced a smile. "Just paperwork," he muttered, shoving it into his briefcase. I sensed a crack in his calm, like hairline ice across a pond. Days later, while I arranged canvases for an exhibit, I overheard two volunteers whispering. Did you hear about Elias's fiancée? Clara's back in town. My stomach dropped. Fiancée. Back in town. The pieces collided. That night, Elias called. Can we talk? He asked, voice strained. We met by the lake, moonlight shredding across the water. He confessed Clara had been away caring for her father but had returned. Things were complicated long before you, he said, guilt etched in his jaw. I didn't mean to hurt you. His words were shards, half comfort, half confession. So what are we? I asked. Silence swelled. Only the lap of water against the dock answered. Finally he whispered, Selena, I don't know. The next morning a note slid under my studio door. I know about you and Elias. Meet me at Willow Café, tomorrow, noon. It was signed simply, Clara. My pulse drummed. I imagined accusations, public shame. But when Clara arrived, she was composed, early 30s, hair tied back, eyes clear. She ordered chamomile tea, then folded her hands. You're not the first, she said calmly. Elias drifts toward women when life unravels. I've watched it happen twice before. Her steadiness unnerved me more than fury would have. Why tell me? I whispered. Because you look like I once did, waiting for promises he can't keep, she replied. I'm leaving Grey Haven soon. You need to decide what you want before he drags you deeper. When she left, the bell above the cafe door jingled like a warning. I sat there, palms cold against the ceramic mug, realizing the mirror I had avoided had finally caught me. That night, I walked Jasper along the water's edge. The lake shimmered with moonlight, silent yet relentless. I imagined David boarding his flight home in 6 months, believing we were steady. I imagined Elias's half-truths multiplying. I imagined living in the shadow of secrecy forever. I saw 3 roads before me. The first, confession. To tell David the truth, risk the marriage, embrace the storm that honesty would summon. The second, concealment. Pretend the kiss meant nothing, bury my guilt beneath new routines, smile until the mirror cracks again. The third, confrontation. Face Elias, set boundaries, end the cycle, reclaim my voice before it drowns beneath Grey Haven's whispers. The lake rippled, reflecting 1,000 fractured stars. I knew time was sliding past like water through open fingers. Every choice carried loss, every path demanded courage. I do not have answers yet. Only questions and the throb of my own heartbeat echoing against the night. If you were standing here with me, the lake stretching silent and endless, the weight of longing pressing your ribs, what would you choose? Confess, conceal, or confront? Tell me in the comments. And if this journey through Grey Haven stirred something in you, please like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more stories where hearts collide with hard truths. Until next time, keep listening to the whispers inside you. They might be your way home.